You're live.
All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Mental Health Mondays. Again, every Monday I will do a Facebook Live about mental health. It is something near and precious to me. It's something that I've struggled with my entire life. It started out in high school, and it's haunted me for the last 15 years, and it's been a lot of darkness. And so I've been working on my own mental health, and I've been having great success with it. I've tried something different, right? What's the definition of crazy? It's doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So when it comes to mental health, one of the main streams that medical has for us is just taking a bunch of medications. And that's what I did my whole life. I took a lot of medications. I took different colors, different sizes, different shapes. And they all had effects on me, but they never cured me of my anxiety and depression. So there's two types of medications that I was put on. One was called an SSRI, which stands for Selective Serotonin Reuptake Inhibitor. And tonight we're going to be talking about the other category of medications that if you have anxiety and depression, your doctor may put you on, and those are called benzos or benzodiazepines. So tonight we'll talk about the benzos, and then next week I will again talk about the SSRIs, which are another category of drugs for anxiety and depression. And so tonight let's focus on the benzodiazepines. So what is a benzodiazepine, and why are people with anxiety and depression put on it? Benzodiazepines, also called benzos for short because nobody likes to say the whole thing. They are a class of agents that work in the central nervous system. Our central nervous system is our brain and our spinal cord. That's the central nervous system. And then our peripheral nervous system are all the nerves that go down our arms and down our backs and down our legs, right? Okay? So the drugs mainly focus on our brains and our spinal cord. So they work in the central nervous system and are used for a variety of medical conditions. They act on specific receptors in the brain called gamma aminobutyric acid alpha, or GABA. Again, there's a big mouthful, but they always like to shorten it, which is fine with me. Okay? So GABA A's are specific nerve endings on our brain that the benzos will affect, okay? Again, the benzos is not designed to treat your anxiety and depression or to cure it. It's just treating the symptoms of not feeling right, okay? Benzodiazepines attach to these receptors and make the nerves in the brain less sensitive to stimulation. That is so important, what we're going to talk about tonight. They make the nerve less sensitive to stimulation. So there's something wrong in your body that's overstimulating the brain, and the brain gets so worked up and so overstimulated that the benzos are designed to basically numb your brain nerves and make it very hard for that stimulation to occur, okay? So the key to getting off of benzos and not having to go down the route I did was find what's stimulating your brain, which has a calming effect, of course. If they can dull your brain and your senses, you're going to feel calmer. But again, a benzo is not going to treat your condition. It's only going to treat a symptom. So the key to your anxiety and depression is this word right here. And they don't do this in the medical field because I've lived it. I lived with this for 15 years. And again, they're just chasing symptoms. If they can make you calm, force you to be calm, then they think they won. But really, on the inside, you're still a mess. Okay, so there's a few names, there's a few types of benzos out there. I've highlighted the ones in yellow. The ones that I've taken in my lifetime. So throughout the slideshow, if you see something yellow, that means I've experienced it. So out of the 4, 5, 6, 7 up here, I've taken 3 of these.
All at the same time.
Unfortunately, typically the rule is only 1 benzo at a time, but I was such a mess, and you know, the people helping me, they actually had me on 3 of these at one time, which is like, no, You're not allowed to do that. But things were desperate at certain times and they had nothing else to throw at me, so they just short-circuited my brain basically. So I was on alprazolam, diazepam, and clonazepam, and I can say those because I had to say them a lot. I had to memorize that list, okay? So what are these for? Panic and anxiety disorders, that's definitely what I had. Alcohol withdrawal and anxiety, panic attacks, restless leg syndrome, insomnia, seizures, and alcohol withdrawal. Insomnia again, panic and seizure disorders, anxiety, seizures, and anesthesia, insomnia. So again, all of these conditions over here are when the brain is so overexcited by a stimulant. Again, what is that stimulant? They don't care, they just want to treat the symptoms, right? And you can see a lot of these are just when the brain's overactive. So yeah, I've been on 3 out of the 8. And there's more, but these are very common. Okay, so how long are you supposed to take a benzodiazepine, right? Based on the experts do not recommend using a benzo for more than 2 weeks. 2 weeks. That's as much as your brain really can healthily take. Is that a phrase?
I don't know.
Your brain can tolerate, okay? 7 years. I've been robbed of 7 years of my life because we'll talk about the side effects, and they're devastating, okay?
You were on them for 7 years, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I was on the benzos for 7 years. And the other classification of drugs, the SSRIs, I was on those in total 15 years. Mm-hmm. So a little bit of SSRI, and then I had both going on, the benzo and the SSRI. But I took those for 7 years when the experts only recommend them for 2 weeks, okay? A person who uses them for 3 to 4 weeks, or double the time, and then stops, suddenly is likely to experience withdrawal symptoms. That's only after 4 weeks of taking this medication. Imagine what my withdrawals were after stopping them after 7 years. It was not pretty. I was dying. It was horrific, okay? People who use them in long term, like me.
Goldie says, you rock.
I rock, Goldie. Thank you. You rock.
Goldie.
Goldie, right?
Yeah, I thought you said Rolly.
Goldie.
I was like, no.
Goldie, you know, because you were my nurse. I'm okay. I was the patient. I can say that. So Goldie, you were my nurse. And Dr. Williams, he is a wonderful primary care doctor. So if any of you guys are looking for somebody in the medical field for help, please go to Dr. Williams at Honor Health up in Anthem. He
might be booked by now.
He is hands down the best medical doctor that I've ever had to deal with. And Goldie, you are a wonderful nurse, and you always made us feel comfortable. So shout out to you guys for doing such an amazing job. Mm-hmm. Okay? People who use them in long term may need to withdraw their use over a 3 to 12 month period. That's how toxic, that's how controlling these medications can be to your system, even after 4 weeks. But imagine 7 years. It was rough, but I did it, and I'm better because I did it. So it's worth it, okay?
Oh, Sherry says she was on them for 10 years, SSRIs.
Yep.
Yep.
We've all been in there, right?
Yeah.
It seems like I'm not the only one. So that's why I take the time to do Mental Health Mondays. Basically, it feels like a bomb's going off in your body when you get off of these things, okay?
Heather says, this is awesome.
So here are the side effects, and notice it's all yellow.
Which means he has experienced those side effects.
And on a daily basis, okay? This isn't like once every while. This is like a constant thing. So you go to your doc and you're like, Doc, I feel like garbage. I feel like killing myself. I feel like the life isn't worth living. It's so hard to go to work. It's so hard to go to church. Going to the grocery store gives me panic attacks because I have to look at people and they're looking at me and I feel uncomfortable, right? Mm-hmm. So you go in with already a big set of issues, and then taking these medications can definitely compound these and add a bajillion other issues for you just by taking the medication. So let's take a look at them. Okay, Drowsiness, yes, you feel like a zombie when you're on these. Confusion, you betcha, man. I was confused 24/7. I would forget my medications. I would forget everything, right?
I had to be your brain.
Yeah, my wife was basically my brain. I would get asked a question, and I just turn to her, and she would have to answer for me. I felt silly. I felt so restricted, right? Okay. Impaired coordination, increasing the risk of falls and accidents. I would run into door frames all the time, just trying to walk in and out of a doorway. My shoulder would always run into things. I would always hit my shins trying to get into the car. Yeah, your coordination really takes a hit. Okay? Playing men's softball, that was really tricky. Okay? I grew up playing baseball my entire life, and playing men's softball was a great escape, a good way to increase my natural hormones of dopamine and those type of things. But I lost the ability to hit home runs, and that was something I was really good at. Okay. Depression. So the the issue that you're trying to treat with the benzos, it's going to give you more of that. Okay. So over 15 years of time, I got worse. I got worse. I got worse. Okay. Side effects from the medications. Okay. Increased anxiety. There you go. Dang, this sucks. Okay. Memory problems. Absolutely. My memory right now, it feels like it's like a sponge, and the water just keeps falling out of it. Like I can't retain a lot of stuff, right? I retain enough to live and to do my job well and everything like that. But man, I can't wait until I can start remembering months. I can start remembering, 6 months. I can remember a year worth of information. But right now, my past is just very small little pictures. And it kind of makes you feel uncomfortable, because your memories are really who you are, right? It's what your personality is basically based off of. And if you don't have memories, who are you? What identity do you have? This is something I'm still recovering from, okay? Behavioral changes, for example, increased risk taking. Yeah, I love riding motorcycles. Maybe that's why, I don't know. All right, delirium, I didn't reach that level. My wife may have another opinion, but I'm okay so far. Risk of dependence, especially long-term use. Yes, withdrawal symptoms are horrific. Increased risk of dementia. For you guys that don't know, my dad has dementia right now, and that really freaks me out, because I don't want to go down that path. He doesn't communicate, he can't talk, and he basically lays in bed 24/7, and my mom is his caregiver. So yeah, man, that is something I do not want to have to put my family through, and trying to take care of my anxiety and depression is putting me at risk. So I can't mark this one off, but I'm working my butt off so I don't follow this path, right? Here we go, anxiety and panic again. Repeat. Agitation and restlessness. Oh man, I would get agitated at the smallest thing. Raising 4 kids, whoo, buddy. Just raising kids without anxiety and depression is hard, but when you have that and then you're taking a medication that gives you even more agitation, I would yell so much at my kids, and then I would just feel like garbage afterwards, okay? Tremors, you start shaking, you can't sit still. Yep, I had that. Fatigue, sleep problems, shortness of breath, sweating. I bolded that one because my body could not keep moisture in. I was constantly sweating. I could sit in a chair and just my armpits would sweat and the back of my legs would sweat, and it was embarrassing. And I never knew why until I put this together. And it says sweating, so wow, nobody would help me. I talked to my counselors and my other psychs, and I would say I'm sweating all the time, and they're like, yeah, well, we'll talk about it at your next appointment. Nah. So yeah, I don't sweat as much. Woohoo!
Or sometimes they'd be like, that's weird, I wonder why.
Yeah, I wonder why. It's because it's the medication I'm taking. Okay? Flushing, that just means your skin goes pale. I didn't have so much of that.
Red.
Yeah, or turns red. Muscle cramps, luckily I didn't go through that. I did have seizures. I still do. It's still something my body's trying to recover from. So every once in a while, when I'm trying to sleep and stuff, I'll go into a slight seizure. Hallucinations, you betcha. Gastrointestinal problems, yep. Feelings of unreality, okay? So what that means is like, you're just kind of floating through life. You're
like
just
you
like,
can't tell if it's real or not.
you're like, am I dreaming this? Am I awake? And it's just, everything just turns fuzzy in a way. It's hard to explain, but I tried my best. Okay? Headaches and muscle pain, again, not so much. Maybe the SSRIs help me in that aspect. But you can see, I had all of these issues. So take a weak person, put some benzos in them, and you're only really asking for disaster, at least in my case. Okay, overdose. Yes, you can kill yourself taking benzos. And that was the second time I tried to kill myself. Was I took my bottle of benzos and I swallowed them all. And I'm leaving out a lot of information about the situation, but you guys don't need to know that. You just need to know that, yes, I got to a point where my medications weren't helping. I had a horrific day. Life was falling apart, and I was like, well, if this medication is supposed to make me happy, I'm going to take all of it. And it's going to make me even more happy, right? No, not really. So it was quite terrifying. As soon as I swallowed the bottle, I cried out for help to Megan, and she had to call 911, and they took me to the hospital, and I survived. So cool, right? A lot of people don't survive, and so I'm very blessed to have done that. And it is a scary situation, and it's something that I do regret. Obviously, people that kill themselves, they don't want to kill themselves. They just want to get away from everything that we just discussed on that other slide, right? So yeah, I try to kill myself this way, okay? If you do take too much of the benzos, these are the things that will happen. And again, I highlighted all the yellow ones in my case. Extreme sedation or drowsiness, you betcha.
Says she's very glad you're doing better.
Yes, thank you. You know, I just have to share this information because not a lot of people get a second chance. Very low breathing rate, absolutely. So they rushed me to the hospital, and that's what they were always watching. Okay, confusion and difficulty thinking, slurred speech, loss of muscle control, and then the last one is a coma. Fortunately, I got to the hospital in time where my system didn't shut down and I didn't slip into a coma. That was my intention, but you know, once I got proper care and I was able to not fall that far into a benzo issue. So yeah, it's definitely a poison and it can really cause some damage. Okay, so there's definitely a rising problem with the benzos. Here I have a graph that represents the age groups and the percentage of the age groups that are taking benzos. So as you can see, this is from the National Institute of Medical Health, the NIH, National Institute of Health. Again, starting from 18 years old all the way to 80 years old. You can see that this is the female line, so females are taking benzos at a much higher rate than men. The reason, in my opinion, is women always ask for help. Men never ask for help, okay? So yeah, I would say it's typical to see that women are actually on more medications because they're the ones that ask for help, right? So are we giving them good help? Not so much. So more women are taking it, but again, as people are aging, as life, you know, beats people down, or as their body starts becoming more painful, because again, benzos are used for pain and for sleep. As we age, the prescription percentage goes up. So right now, this was in 2014, so 6 years ago. At 80 years of age, 12% of women are taking benzos, and then about 6% of men are taking benzos, okay? So you can see that benzos are being used more and more as people are aging, which is really tough because getting old is hard in of itself, but then you look at all those side effects that we just talked about, and it's just going to be jumping into the deep end. They're not really going to have much defenses and will to live when their own medication's breaking them down. Okay, here's another. This is the number of deaths due to benzos, just like I was able to escape. Most people don't. Okay, number of deaths involving benzodiazepines. In 2012, there's 2,000, and then as we see the trend start going up, all the way to 2016. In 2016, there was 10,684 deaths that year due just to benzos. Okay.
Wow.
Just to kind of put it in perspective, during this whole COVID crisis, there's only been about 6,000 deaths in Arizona just due to COVID, right? So in the year 2016, benzos took over 10,600 people, okay? So maybe we need to really be focusing on benzo people, right?
Wait, what was this number up at the top?
Where?
Up at the
Oh,
top.
so up here at the top it says between 1996 and 2013, the number of adults filled a benzodiazepine prescription increased by 67%. From 8.1 million, so there was 8.1 million people in 1996 taking these, all the way up to 13.5 million people in 2013. So again, the usage of the drug is going up, and the deaths by the drug is also going up. Again, this drug is only there to treat the symptoms of anxiety and depression, and it's not there to treat the condition of anxiety and depression. Again, that first slide said that benzos are designed to numb the brain because it's being overstimulated. So what is stimulating your brain to create anxiety and depression? That's the question. And that's something I always try to find out. Here it is. So these are the three things that can overstimulate our brain and cause us to have anxiety and depression. This is the root cause. It is not a symptom, okay? So what can overstimulate our brain? Traumas. So physical trauma to our bodies can create pain signals that always constantly go up into our brain. People with, like Megan, she has her spine fused due to uncontrolled scoliosis. We did a really good job with chiropractic. We got her through 4 pregnancies and 13 years of marriage. You're a saint. And then her curves started to get worse, and so now she has metal screws and rods from T2 to L2. Okay, basically where these red spots are on that spine, that's where she has metal. Okay,
Well, that literally is.
Yeah, kind of cool, right? So yeah, you betcha that trauma, that surgery will always send pain signals, which will overstimulate your brain and make you go crazy, right? Okay. The other one are toxins. So there's 3 things we have to do every day to stay alive. We have to breathe, drink, and eat, right? Drinking and eating, that goes right into our intestines, and that can really toxify our bodies. And this is where I've had my biggest turnaround when it comes to my anxiety and depression, is focusing on this. And then the other ones are obviously the thoughts. So the traumas, like the emotional traumas that we experience in life, and there's just so many other ones. I'm just trying to give you guys a big picture idea of what it is. I can't tell you specifically what your source of your overstimulation is unless you come in and get tested, right? And that's it. Thank you guys for joining me for Mental Health Monday. Today we talked about benzodiazepines. And then next week I will be talking about SSRIs. So I hope you guys tune in and enjoy this information. It's been super impactful in my life. I wish I would have had somebody explain this to me 15 years ago. But hey, we can't always choose our battles sometimes. Sometimes God puts us through things just so we can experience the bad so we can enjoy the good. People that only have great stuff happen to them in life, they really don't develop as human beings. It's often through pain and struggle that we really can become better people. And, you know, every day we got to fight. We fight for something and for someone, perhaps. And so I want to say thank you guys for paying attention and for tuning in. And I will see you next week. Have a great night.